Hey friend, I'm so glad you're here. I'm Tamara Bennett with Southern Adoornments Decor, and today we're diving into one of the most common struggles that I hear from beginner painters: lettering. If you've ever said, my hand just doesn't move the way I want it to, or I wish I felt more confident painting words, then this video is for you. We're talking about painter's muscle memory tips, what it is, how it works, and why practicing simple strokes over and over can totally transform the way you paint. Stick around because we're going to walk through some easy lettering drills, and then I'm going to show you how to trace and paint the word welcome using my Bandana Lola template. You'll be amazed how much better your hand feels by the end. We're going to start on a mixed media pad with just some basic letters that I have traced out here, some words, and then I have a piece of cardboard that we're going to practice on next, and then we will trace the word welcome onto this cardboard because cardboard's really great to practice on because it's very similar to painting on wood. It's going to feel very similar. It's going to soak up the paint very similarly, and you can just throw it away when you're done. So it's really great to practice on. Lettering is one of those things that intimidates everybody, whether it's writing with pencil lettering or it's painting with a paintbrush, maybe even using a paint pen. So a lot of people opted to get our kit for our Lola Highland Cow workshop because it comes with 3D lettering, which is going to make that so simple. But if you can't afford the kit or you're looking to challenge yourself a little bit, I'm hoping today's video can help you. We're going to start out by using just a very simple round tip paintbrush. Everybody should have one of these in their painting stash. It's got short bristles. It's very pointed. It's great for doing lettering. I'm going to use my handy dandy ice cube tray here. I'm going to put a little bit of black paint in there so that it'll show up well. I'm also going to water my black paint down just a little bit so it glides even better. So just a teeny bit of water in there. And then we're going to practice a few letters. We're going to practice an L, an O, and an M. And then we're going to put that together and make some words. I've got hi, home, love, and joy. And then after we get done practicing on here, we're going to practice the welcome word from our Bandana Lola on a piece of cardboard. I'm going to start at the edge of this letter L, and I'm just going to pull up. Very, very little pressure. And your hand might shake a little bit. That's okay. If your hand shakes going up, instead start at the top and pull down. But don't press down on the bristles very hard. Just kind of keep very light pressure. And if you need to, you can do little short strokes like this to kind of smooth out little bumpy areas. Go over it again. And then when you get ready to go down the other side, you're going to pull and you're going to press. So I am pressing those bristles flat as I'm pulling them down, and as I come to the bottom of the letter, I'm lifting until I have the lightest little stroke. Something else that I want to point out when I'm doing this is there's not a lot of wrist action going on. If you'll notice, most of it is in the fingertips. I've talked to you guys about like how to paint a straight line and use your body to pull the brush back to have a nice smooth line. That's using like your abdomen and your torso to keep a smooth line. This is using more of a little bit of wrist, but much more just fingertip action here. So let's do the O, where I'm going to start right here at the center of the O, pull down with pressure, lift up, and I'm not going to keep going. I'm going to dip in a little bit of paint, and then now I'm going to consider, do I want to start here and keep going up? What do I feel more confident about? And this is going to be different for everybody. You might feel more confident starting up here and pulling it back down because maybe that makes your hand shake to do an upward, an upstroke. And then you might feel like you need to pick it up, put it back here, and stroke down again and bring it up here. We're working on the pressure, the amount that we're pushing down that brush, and we're also working on like the fluid motion of it. And the more you do it, the easier it's going to get. Muscle memory is when your hand starts to like know the motion and you don't have to like overthink every little curve and loop. So lettering is going to feel hard at first because it's new, but the more you do it, the easier it's going to get. Okay, so for me, downstrokes are always thicker, and I'll demonstrate this with the letter M. So this part of the M is not really considered a downstroke. It's just kind of like where the letter's starting. It's kind of curving over and up. And then when we go down on the letter M, I'm pressing down and it's going to be thicker. Now I'm going up to the next hump and it's going to be thinner, and then pressing with pressure for the downstroke. So it's almost always when the letter curves down. I know a lot of people start out using paint pen because that's what you're comfortable with, but doing it with a paintbrush is going to make it look a little bit more personalized, authentic. It's gonna just give it a little bit of a personal flair. Let me find a paint pen and I'll demonstrate one with a paint pen so you can kind of see the difference. I wrote the word hi over here, so I'm gonna just trace it with a paint pen so you can kind of see the difference. So instantly you can see that you can't get the change in thickness from a paint pen, you have to go back and add it. So I would have to like go back and make this, which is really great for beginners who maybe aren't confident with a brush. I just feel like it doesn't look nearly as good. Like the finished product to me, I like the way it looks better with paint. Something else I'll say is like when I did this brush stroke right here for the H, when you get to the bottom, you have a tendency to want to go like this and like let it trail off. Instead of doing that, and you might have to just practice this type of brush stroke, is to practice, this is gonna be a little messy, pushing down and then letting up pressure immediately so you don't have that weird trail off. And you might still have it a little bit at the beginning, but you can kind of take a brush and just kind of clean that up just a little bit so that you can come back and add the rest of the letter to kind of make it look smoother. See how the M and the E are almost touching here? I made a boo-boo, and I'll show you how to correct that when I get over here to the word love. What I did is when I was doing the downstroke for this E, I curved it outside the letter more than I should have and allowed it to get too close to the M. So you can prevent that by kind of doing that downstroke to the inside or outside of the letter. So I'm going to do the word love next, going up with no pressure hardly, and then down with extra pressure. And that time I kind of curved it to the outside of the letter. So then with the O, I'm going to kind of just put the pressure right dead center on that pencil stroke. And then when I do the downstroke for this part, I'll kind of keep it dead center. So you kind of have to just look where it needs pressure, where you want the weight of the letter to fall. Again, centering it right up on that letter V. Now for the E right here, if I go to the inside, it's going to put the weight of the letter further away from the V. If I go to the outside, it might crowd the V a little. But I think on this one, if I go dead center on the pencil line, it's going to be just right. So those are all things you need to consider when you're doing lettering. The amount of pressure you're using, where you're doing the brush stroke, is it to the inside, the outside, or crowd, or like right in the center of that line. I'm going to be using some graphite or carbon paper, shiny side down, and then we're going to be tracing just the word. So I'm not doing the whole Lola template here, just the word. I'm going to just put it on my cardboard. And there's a couple different ways you can trace it. You can trace the inside and outside of the lettering, which kind of creates like an outline for you to paint inside of. And that might be best for some of you beginners. If you want to challenge yourself, I want to encourage you to try tracing down the center of each word just to get the bones of the word. Do you understand what I mean? So it's not the outline, it's the like inline, the actual lines of the word. So I like to think of it like creating the bones of the word. Okay, can y'all see that? It literally just has the bones of the word outlined. If I have a Sharpie here, I could even trace this for you so that you could see it a little better. Let's grab our paintbrush that we were just using, and we're just going to I'm going to start by putting my little serifs on here. You can kind of turn the brush up on its like side to make those, and then just do brush strokes kind of down. And the hardest part here is going to be connecting those strokes. Because see how these are like almost like straight lines or slightly curved lines, and where they connect will be the trickiest part for you. So if you need to, you can even switch brushes in between strokes and use your round tip brush to smooth out those connections where they link up with each other to make them a little smoother. If you need to, you can use that round tip brush to clean up your serifs. My serifs are a little messy. Because this is monoline, I need to kind of keep my brush sort of facing down flat like this for most of the strokes. And I might have to change the position that my brush is going to be able to do that. It doesn't have to be perfect though. We're not trying to get the perfect monoline. We're just trying to make sure that the weight around the letter is almost the same with every stroke. And you will find yourself having to re-dip in the paint a little more frequently, especially if you're painting on cardboard. Okay, there we go. We did the whole word, and we did it all with a little filbert tip brush. So if we had done with this with a round tip brush, it would have been thinner and thicker in places. So depending on the style you want, you might want to practice this with a round tip and with a filbert, maybe even with a flat tip, because the brush that works for me might not necessarily work well for you. You might find that you like another brush better than the brush that I usually use. So Don't force it. Use the one that you feel like you get the best results with. Thank you so much for painting with me today. I hope you're feeling more confident with your lettering and starting to see just how a little practice goes a long way. If this was helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future videos. I'm always sharing tips and techniques on how to help you grow as a painter. And I want you to keep practicing, keep showing up, and remember, your hands will get it. Just trust the process, and I'll see you in the next video.